Huge moves are imminent for the Toronto Blue Jays as GM Ross Atkins has come out and revealed some very interesting information as it pertains to the Toronto Blue Jays making a new addition via both free agency as well as internally. We're going to break down exactly what his comments were and discuss what this means going forward as moves and reinforcements are on the way, and a couple of players that have been linked to the Jays are extremely intriguing. We're going to break that down in this episode as well as break down multiple Jays updates, both from Ross Atkins as well as some other ones. Following what it was a very big Game 1 win against the Guardians ahead of Game 2 later this afternoon. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're a part of the 71% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. We're on the road to 17,000 subscribers, so if you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys again for your continued support over here. Ladies and gentlemen, Ross Atkins revealed some very interesting details surrounding the Toronto Blue Jays plan and a bit of a surprising turn of events. We heard again of Ross Atkins' mini media availability, and obviously the Jays now have won 3 in a row following last night's game. They're in a very good spot, but there's still no denying that the offense, the Jays are back to 16-16, but the offense is a little bit iffy still, albeit slowly starting to come back, and it seems that Ross Atkins is looking externally to make some additions. Ross Atkins said the Blue Jays are looking at some potential free agent depth options that could impact the big league roster. So ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of names that come to mind. We're going to dive into a couple here in a minute, but this is very interesting information, and it is very rare that in May, the first, a bit over a month into the season now, you are talking about in making additions via free agency. And there's a few names that come to mind. We obviously know, we'll dive into them. The Jays have been linked to guys like David Robertson, who is a reliever, probably not super likely, but again, depending on what they're looking for, maybe some thump to empower to the offense. JD Martinez is a name that continues to creep up into, the Jays circles. Now, he is a very good player. He's a veteran, late 30s, has hit home runs. Even as recent as last season wasn't bad and can inject life into this offense. But the exact quote is to consider an external alternatives for rotation depth as well, and that they have a couple things in the works via free agency to help the MLB roster. So as it pertains to rotation depth, they have a couple names that they're looking at. And as it pertains to a couple other things in the works to help the MLB roster, again, I'm looking at a guy like JD Martinez, and they didn't directly say a bat, and I'm not entirely sure with the resurgence of Nathan Lucas that they want to have a DH on the bench, but it's a guy that makes a ton of sense. Now, as it pertains to rotation depth, I'm very intrigued to see what they do here. You have Easton Lucas, who we'll dive into in a minute, is coming off of back-to-back really good starts down in Buffalo. Jake Bloss, who Ross Atkins spoke on as well, has been really good. But it's good to see that the front office is open to making some additions externally. And as it pertains to starting pitching free agent options, not a ton there. I'm sure they're once they make the moves, we'll see what happens on that front. There isn't a ton of super exciting guys. Max Scherzer is slowly starting to come back, and his return seems fairly imminent, at least as it pertains to imminent meaning actually making his debut this season. So it is very, very intriguing. Now, again, as you start to look at some of these external alternatives, let me know down below if there's anyone that jumps to your mind. Obviously, JD Martinez, because of his power, and this team desperately needs offense, but at the same time, not exactly sure who they would send down. You could send down Miles Straw, Alan Roden, or DFA/send down, depending if they have options. And as it pertains to the pitching side, per the Bisons, Jake Bloss is scheduled to pitch this afternoon in Iowa. Easton Lucas, he threw 6 scoreless frames and 4 Ks a couple days ago, is eligible to call up by the Jays again on May 6th, which coincidentally is the next time their 5th starter spot comes up. So it's a very interesting, case scenario here. We know that Eric Lauer started last time. He did 4 innings, 2 runs, pretty good. Easton Lucas, maybe they're going to call him back up because he had success at the major league level, albeit a couple, kind of clouded by a couple of bad games. It is a very, very interesting current set of circumstances for this team. And we also know that, Ross Atkins came out and said that they're evaluating external options. So a bunch of different moves are going to be coming here, whether that's in the form of A, signings, which I do think is ultimately going to happen, and B, and I also think they're going to try to make external moves to boost the offense as well. And obviously, we've had a bit of a better offensive surge over the past 3 games. You cannot stop there. You have to keep going, keep adding. I don't care that it's, May 3rd, May 4th. Keep adding to the team and just keep working on it, because it's not like the Jays are blowing anybody away. So those are some pretty big updates. And of course, Jake Bloss, Ross Atkins said and came out and he said they consider Jake Bloss big league ready if needed. Sounds like Trey Savage is also on the brink of a promotion before too long. He and Cal Steven are laying to waste on Eden right now. I had a video on Arjun Amala yesterday. I mean, you look at Jake Bloss, you look at Trey Savage tearing it up in Vancouver, Cal Steven as well. Expect some moves there of them getting promoted. And of course, there's a lot of excitement surrounding Trey Savage, but also Cal Steven, the top 10 Jays prospect, league number 9. he's been absolutely tearing it up, ladies and gentlemen. So a bunch of updates from Ross Atkins. Shout out to him for coming out and saying this, and I love it. I love that they're open about making more moves to improve this team. And again, it's very rare you hear free agency as it pertains to, a month into the season, especially at a kind of a random media availability last night. So huge win for the Jays yesterday. And some big updates there. And I'm keeping my eye on JD Martinez. It's not super likely in the sense of because of the position, but when they said they have a couple things in the works, go for it. At this point, go for it. See what you can get in. It'll be interesting to see who they also add to the pitching staff. But seeing Jake Bloss already is great as well. But I want to dive into a couple different things. Now, again, we know that Jake Bloss is going to be pitching today, and Easton Lucas is probably going to be coming up for the Jays for the next start around. However, I want to dive into a couple of other updates now. And Jeff Hoffman, we know how good he's been. A few different things to go over here. Keegan Matheson, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Jeff Hoffman could be one of the best moves this front office has made in a long time. The talent is obvious, but there's a little FU to him, too. Just a perfect fit in the closer's role. I want to bounce off this because yesterday night's game was a perfect example of this. And, of course, Keegan tweeted this after one of his great, saves a couple days ago. The first game against, when they won their first game, I believe it was against Boston. Regardless, this is a huge point for this team. Jeff Hoffman didn't have his great stuff. I mean, he had great stuff. He didn't have his A game yesterday. He gave up a walk for the first time this season. It's not intentional. Man on second and third. He comes out and he strands them with 2 runners on. We've seen in the past guys like Jordan Romano give up those runs. And to have him rocking, paired with George Springer, who leads all qualified Jays hitters with a 171 WRC plus. They now have 7 homers over the last 4 games. The offense is actually starting to turn a corner. And whether you look at the advanced analytics, all these different things, the offense has finally started to turn a corner, which means, hey, this team now, as I've been saying, I sound like a broken record, they're starting to turn a corner. And it all comes down to the offense and, of course, the home runs. Your starting pitching staff looks fantastic. Great starts from Berríos. Great starts from Chris Bassett. All these different guys. You have now, of course, Max Scherzer on his way back. All these different things. The offense can remain the course, and George Springer is one of the biggest reasons for this. I mean, it is this time last year, even prior to the season, people were saying DFA George Springer can't do anything, all this. Now, he is the cleanup hitter for this team. And I'm happy that John Schneider has moved him up there. He had a huge home run yesterday to put the Jays up. And then, of course, the Guardians came back a little bit. It is a huge win for the team yesterday. But enough can't be said about George Springer. And the power, it's slowly starting to come back. To see that Ross Atkins is ready to make other moves is super exciting. And most importantly, folks, the Jays are winning games, but you have to keep this going. You're back to 500. You're right in the thick of it as it pertains to the AL East race, the playoff spot. Win this game today against the Cleveland Guardians. Take care of business. Win 4 in a row. A win streak really starts at 3. Move it to 4 and keep the train going. Hopefully, they can take care of business. We should have a video following tonight's game, so make sure you stay tuned for that, assuming they win there. And ladies and gentlemen, your sport's been unbelievable. Let me know down below who you think the Lakers, the Lakers, too much basketball watching. Who you guys think the Jays are going to sign? Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.